Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to change the world one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the authors of a new book that we have coming out soon called Wealth Codes: Sacred Strategies for Abundance. You guys, I need to say a huge thank you to Jen Pisano, who is the lead author of this project. Yeah, we need to give her a little shake, a little wave. Jen, thank you so much for being in my world and for being who you are, for being the awesome, sexy, wise goddess that you are. You guys can see her first book that we did behind my shoulder over there, Sacred Medicine. And that was one of the best, most successful book launches we have had. And the lead author takes the reins of something like that, and they attract amazing people into their world, like the women you are going to meet today. So Jen, I just wanted to say a big thank you, for saying yes and for wanting to go on this journey again with Wealth Codes. This is a powerful book, and you're about to meet the people behind the why of that. So today I have Eirikah Delaunay with me, a somatic sex and relationship coach, and I'm gonna have to get this right, Eirikah, initiated priestess at Desire Alchemy. Okay, thank you. Where she helps people ignite their authentic desire to create more hotness and connection in their lives. Jamie Lee Murphy is the owner and founder of Vessel of Divine Wellness, where she empowers individuals to live a purpose-driven, authentic life. And Kelly Cameron is with us. She's a love and connection coach, helping couples through communication and conflict issues to get to their happily ever after. Welcome, ladies. How's it going?
Good
I
morning.
have to make you all unmute to say, hey, I know it's
Good
not
morning.
Hey,
fair.
good morning.
Hi, I'm so excited to have you all here and to talk about the beautiful stories and practices that you're sharing in this book. Eirikah, we're going to start this party with you. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thanks, Laura. So my chapter is chapter 10. It's called Spellbinding, Using the Power of Words to Ignite Desire. And I'm just going to read a little piece out of the chapter, and then we can talk a little bit more. What I wanted was a stronger connection with my husband. I wanted to feel my pleasure mattered to him, that he enjoyed the intimacy and sex we shared. I wanted to feel like he could never get enough of me, just like I could never get enough of him. Sexuality is a powerful source of energy and vitality. It's the key to profound connection and ecstatic play. I wanted to share more of that with him. I wanted to feel like we were on the same team, giving and receiving delight and exploring the wide open possibilities for arousal and satisfaction in life. I wanted to set every part of our lives on fire with the energy we generated between us. As a writer and witch, I knew how powerful words are in creating reality. What if I focused words on my own desire as a sort of spell to manifest more of the deliciousness between us rather than complaining about what I was missing? How could I turn asking for what I want into an opportunity to appreciate my partner instead of criticizing him? And how could I connect with him from a place of my own embodied desire in a way that I could feel sexy in the process of asking instead of fearful? And so this is what I'm talking about in this chapter. I think so often we buy into the fairy tale that if someone loves us, they will just naturally do the things that we hope they will do, and everything will run smoothly and happily ever after. But unfortunately, our partners are not mind readers, and we have to be able to ask for the things that we want in ways that don't feel like attacks to our partner. And that's not a skill I was taught as a child, for sure. My chapter has some journaling prompts for people to dig into their own desire focused language and some tools for actually connecting and talking with their partner about the things that feel best to them so that they can get more and more of what they want in their relationships.
Eirikah, you're a great writer, and you've written in books before. And every time I read your writing, I feel like I'm getting this massive gift that you're giving me, bringing me into the scene of your life, but with your partner. And
Mm,
the thoughts that I think we all have, but sometimes we're just like afraid to say.
mm,
And right there is like the opportunity for transformation, right?
yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. This chapter is really personal. I warned my children not to read it. Because it really is about those, um, although I think at least one of them already has. But it really is about sometimes those miscommunications and the ways that we think we are trying to make ourselves vulnerable. And then it just doesn't land with our partner and they get hurt. And then we get hurt more. And then we get scared to ever say anything again. And wow, that's such a burden. And but we're really on the same team, right? These relationships are a team sport. And so assuming good intent and learning some tools for approaching from the place of your embodied desire for connection and ecstasy invites your partner in instead of blaming and shaming, which is such a huge issue in our culture right now.
Yeah, relationship destroying one, I think.
Absolutely. Hmm.
You said something about ESP earlier that I loved because I find that I have to remind my partners that I don't have it, and I have to remind them, that they don't have it for me either. That's I'm reminding myself to say the things out loud that I need, and that's
Yeah.
like you said, we weren't taught to do these things, and it's hard. What is that feeling of fear inside that, you'll be judged or rejected or whatever the thing is?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not
Mm.
enough. Maybe this will hurt them to think that maybe they're not perfectly meeting my needs right now. So I shouldn't say. And wow, how hurtful is it to find out years later that they were never meeting your need when they thought they were? Right. And so, because our partners want to do their very best for us, they want to give us all that pleasure. They want to meet our needs. And so, that point of connection is so critical. And being able to develop the skills between you so that you know upfront, I'm going to share my needs, probably imperfectly. I know you want to meet them, but you'll probably be imperfect too, but we're in this together. And so when I ask for something, it's not saying that you're not doing it right. It's just communicating to you so that you can be all the things for me I know you want to be. Yeah.
All right, you guys, stay tuned for more from Eirikah. She has a lot of juicy nuggets and a lot of beautiful tools that you can use in your relationship. So, coming back to you, Eirikah, in a few minutes for some more.
Thanks, Laura.
Jamie, you're up next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Yeah, hi. So my chapter is chapter 18, Awareness, the Rocket Fuel for Authenticity. And so the reason that I chose the story that I chose is because on the outside, my life appeared like it was perfect, right? Everything was in alignment. I had a family, the whole brown picket fence, all of those kind of things going on in a career that people would deem like, yeah, like that's a final career type thing. And I knew deep down that I kept quieting that inner voice, quieting that inner flame, my soul. So it really came to a point where I could look myself in the mirror and not even recognize myself anymore. And so I really wanted to share this chapter because it was in that moment and in that awareness that I was able to go ahead and take that plunge and dig deep. And so I wanted this chapter to be there for people that have been kind of playing that back and forth, right? Like they're on the fence and they want to live their authentic life, and then at the same time they're stepping back because they're afraid of everything that would change. What does this mean for their relationships, for my life in general, career, the whole gamut of categories in our lives. And so, that awareness really helped me to step forward, take that plunge, and move into my authentic life where I am now. Yeah.
Awareness is everything. We're actually going to talk a lot today about it. Essentially, all of you are gifting readers with nuggets of awareness. And so I loved the title of your chapter. It's absolutely my favorite topic of awareness is. So rocket fuel. Yes, yes, yes. Except for you don't always know how that's going to play out. And it doesn't always feel great like rocket fuel, right? What else do you want to say about that? Like that noticing the opportunity.
Yeah. And so, sometimes that rocket fuel can make you kind of like anxious or antsy because it's that excitement at the same time. And it can be daunting, and I think that that's why sometimes it takes people such a long time to step into that and own it. There are stepping stones, however, that we can slowly begin to make those changes. So it doesn't have to be a deep dive. It can be, an awareness of what are the things that bring us joy? What are the things that we like? Does this feel good? And like my strategy, like whose voice is that really? Like the things that we think, the values we have, the beliefs, is that really us, or is that something that we've learned along the way?
Oh my gosh. So whose voice is it anyway is, I think sometimes that can be the beginning of somebody's um, mind awareness, thought awareness journey. And when they wake up to that one thing you just said about whose voice is that, that can change everything. That is a life-changing moment. We're not talking about small potatoes things here today, you guys. Everyone listening, like, get ready, because these conversations are life-changing. And in a moment when you realize you have spent a lifetime following the voice of somebody else, and all of a sudden, I know for me, it was like, whoa, do you even know what you want in life? Are you just following everybody else's shoulds about it? You know? Jamie, anything else you want to say about that? You got me started, right? All right.
Yeah, I know. No, definitely when you're talking, I just totally have chills because absolutely it is game changing. And I think that once it gets to that point and you start to have that awareness and it begins to unravel, the unraveling isn't as scary as you thought it would be.
I agree with that. And thank you for saying that, because I think we avoid this. We numb out. We don't want to feel. We don't want to know. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a path for warriors is how I call it. And, you all are some of my fellow warriors doing this walk with me. It's hard. Thank you, Jamie. We're going to talk to Jamie a little bit more in a few minutes, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, Kelly, you are up. Tell us about your chapter.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. My chapter is chapter 6, Happily Ever After, and it's embracing conflict for healthy and resilient relationships. This was the probably culmination and tipping point of all of my relationship experience for my whole life. And it was deep. It was challenging, very, very challenging. I realized that I grew up very conflict avoidant, like so many of us do. I was terrified of conflict. I was the shy kid. I was just terrified of what people thought of me and of the judgment. And I didn't want anyone to be mad at me. I wanted everyone to love me. And I realized through experience through different relationships and marriages that conflict is really important. And so the tipping point was, in what this chapter is about, is a relationship and a marriage that was very high conflict. And I realized that I could go toe to toe. I could definitely do conflict, but it wasn't healthy. It really drained my whole energy. It caused health issues, actually. So I got through that. It was in my face. There was no way to not deal with it. So it felt like the universe was telling me, okay, it is time to figure all this out. So relationships and conflict, so important. Conflict is a way of getting deeper and more connected with our partners. but conflict in a healthy way. So communication is key, and finding common ground in conflict without starting World War III and without sweeping it all under the rug. It's got to be somewhere in between. So that was my big story, and big, huge lessons. And so that is what I stand for, is I'm a love and peace warrior through conflict. And I'm uniquely positioned for this because I don't like conflict. I don't think we should all have conflict, but it's important. So it's kind of that dichotomy there.
I was just writing a couple of notes and you made me think, well, conflict can be toxic and it can be healing.
Yeah.
And you're helping us understand how it can be healing. I don't think that the idea is to avoid it altogether. It's impossible. And that's probably not healthy either, right? So talk more about, how do we make it healing?
Yeah. Kind of more middle line, more moderate, like you said, avoiding is not healthy because we're just stuffing it all inside, and then it's going to blow at some point, and that's not healthy. And then, looking for conflict and creating conflict is not healthy either. That's very toxic. So the middle of the road is the healthy conflict of communication, being open and wanting to understand where your partner is coming from, with more openness and awareness and appreciating where they're coming from. That kind of like what Eirikah said, nobody is, we're not out to hurt each other. We're coming with the best of intentions in our relationship, but we come from different places. We have different life experiences, and we have different patterns that we run, different relationship structures that we learned in childhood. So we run those patterns as adults, and we're not always aware of them. So how we perceive our partner is not necessarily what their intent is. And not having that awareness causes the unhealthy conflict. So being really intentional about, I want to understand where you're coming from, and I want you to understand where I'm coming from, because we are all on the same team, and there's much more that we have in common than the conflict. So finding that common ground and finding where we do agree and where we have the same values and the same intentions and the same goals and outcomes, that helps us to find that common ground so that we can have a healthier conflict. We can talk in a safe space about our grievances, our concerns, our hurts, and find more understanding. And it creates more resilience with our relationships. And I'm a love and connection coach, so it really does deepen that love and connection between us.
You're also making me think of the way that we're triggered inside of a conversation, and just the understanding of the feeling I have in my body, and to just slow everything down before my mouth opens. Because, when we're reacting to that kind of stuff, that's the world war that's about to start, because, of the trigger. So monitoring and managing and responding to your own triggers, that understanding inside of what that person just said to you, or what's happening. I know a friend of mine said, we were talking about this subject the other day, and I asked him, I'm like, so do you go to your partner and just say, hey, I am super triggered right now, I just need 5 minutes before we continue this conversation? And they have worked it out so that they know when that is asked, it needs to be honored. There's a reason, right? What do you think about that?
This is what I teach my clients all the time. Number one, if you're feeling triggered, take a breath and take a step back. Just like physically take a step back. Don't immediately engage, because when you have all the stress and the trigger and all the somatic experiences, it is going to be World War III, and your partner may not know what hit them. So to find an agreed upon time, whether it's right now for 5 minutes, or you tell me when we can talk about this topic, maybe sometime this afternoon, have an agreed upon time so that your partner is not blindsided, so that they know it's coming. They can kind of prepare themselves, because you've been triggered, what's going on, and they don't necessarily have a clue. So it's only fair to have that set aside time and space for you both to talk about it and give them the topic. Hey, this really triggered me. I'm concerned. I'd like to have a conversation. Is this a good time, or maybe in a little while? You tell me.
It's nice to give people those choices. It helps relax everything. Kelly, thank you. And I want to say thank you to all three of you, not just for saying yes to the project, but for stepping up to my challenge, which was to really offer the reader a vulnerable story so they could get to know you and what you've been through to get over to this place where you are all sharing your master teachings with the world, which again, I thank you for. Thank you for doing that so brilliantly and courageously. Really, I know some of you have written before, and maybe some of you, haven't published before, but this work of getting these messages out into the world, it's definitely for warriors. It takes something to do that. So thank you for doing that. And this is for Miss Jen Pisano. So this is, we're recording this wonderful interview. We happen to be recording on August 8th. And that's a Lionsgate. And Jen and I had this beautiful conversation about like what that is. And, I dabble in a lot of things, but I don't know everything about Lionsgate. But now I know that today, and probably a few days before today and a few days after, we have a chance to set powerful intentions for our life. So how beautiful it is that we get to do our first Wealth Codes interview today with you three, and to set an intention for the interviews and for the book and for Jen and for us as a community to move these brave, beautiful words into the world in a bigger way. Wealth Codes is so much more than money. And this is my next question for all of you. Jamie, I'm going to start with you first on this one. When we think about wealth, many people think money, but wealth is so much more than money. Tell me why it's important to redefine this. What's it mean to you?
Yeah, so for me, the category that I selected was vitality. And so a lot of times people don't think about vitality as abundance. Like you said, they think about money or, material things. And so your health, like your life force energy, is essential to your life. And so vitality, right? Activating that form of abundance, it flows out into the entire rest of your life. And it also helps you with the lived experience that you're having daily, being more present, being more mindful, feeling more alive, even in the most mundane of moments. And so who wouldn't want to activate that?
Yes, who wouldn't want to? Oh my goodness. So now I'm not going to be able to remember all five. So we have 5 categories in this book of wealth, and vitality and is one of them. Money is another one of them. And help me out, gals. Freedom and
spirituality.
Thank you. And there's one more.
Relationships.
Of course. And I have 2 of my relationship experts on this interview. So we broke that down very purposefully so that people could see, oh, okay, these are all the ways. And I've got another question for you in a few minutes after we get around on this one, that's going to take this idea a little bit deeper. But Kelly, same question to you now. When you think about wealth, what's it mean to you? Why is it important to redefine this?
Yeah, it's not just about money, like you said. So that's one of the reasons I love being part of this book. And I am under the relationships category. Having wealth in our relationships is so key. I mean, we're human beings. We're not meant to be alone. So being with each other and knowing how to have healthy relationships. And because we're human, there's going to be conflict. So how do we deal with that? Instead of driving each other away, how do we bring each other closer and deeper connection? So having healthy, happy relationships, and a lot of them, brings so much wealth to all other areas of our lives, work and play and family, and just so many different areas that our relationships impact.
Yeah, we were not meant to be walking alone on this journey. So part of that beautiful energy is the joy that we share in the people that we share life with. I think that's so important. Eirikah, I know you're going to want to tag on to this one for the same kinds of reasons. Tell me about how you think about wealth.
Well, I really love that we expanded the definition of wealth in this book, because I really think that, the old saying around money can't buy happiness, I think in many ways that's true, that if you only have money, you're not going to be happy. It does require these other elements of true wealth. You do also need vitality and relationships and freedom and spirit in order to really have that well-rounded whole human experience of being totally present and filled with joy and connection in this lifetime. So really tackling that holistic view of what wealth is for an individual human and for human communities is really so, so powerful.
I love listening to you all talk about these topics. And we talked about the fact that each chapter is this gift of awareness. And the other thing that this whole book is, every chapter, every story you all share, every strategy you're teaching, it's all energy. So when we embrace the fact that everything is energy, we also have to, it goes along with it, embrace the fact that we need a more holistic approach to healing in general. So what I'd love to talk about next, Kelly, let's start with you on this one. Why holistic? I know it's a big question, but what has that meant in your day-to-day practice?
I do believe in that. Holistic, everything is included, nothing is excluded. So for me, for my life, I'm looking at how all the pieces fit together. My health is a holistic approach. My whole life, self-care, how I connect with myself, it starts there. Morning routines, connections with my kids and my fiance. How do we eat healthy? How do we have a healthy home? Be very intentional about all of the different areas in my life to create a more holistic and whole, enjoyable, joyful, healthy life. It's not just one aspect. I mean, the whole idea behind wealth codes and all the different areas, we need all those areas to have healthy, happy lives. So yeah, I love that approach, and it's not just one. It's a balance of all of the different areas of our lives to create that holistic approach.
I know through my physical therapy practice in the past, we would look at a body holistically, at least I would. And that was so important when you were looking at the whole body. Your back pain might be coming from your right ankle. Your neck pain might be coming from, your wrist. And so if the practitioner isn't looking at the whole entire three-dimensional myofascial system, a big piece of healing could be missed. And then you get temporary results. And I always remember too that if I wasn't asking my clients about their lives, I would miss huge pieces as well. Like they lost a job, or they lost a spouse, or they had been through something, and mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if I wasn't wrapping that into my holistic practice, I would miss some big opportunities to help, that person heal. So that's one of the ways, just throwing in my 2 cents about holistic and how I've brought it into my practice. One of the ways that I think about it. Eirikah, how about you? So what is this to you in your life in terms of how you teach people and help them in their relationships? This idea of it being holistic.
Absolutely. So one thing that I think of when I think about holistic, again, is about working with the whole person. And part of that has to do with really paying attention to all the elements of that person's identity, whether that's race or gender or regional upbringing, all of those different things that play into where we've come from and where we are right now. All of those conditions, systemic oppressions or privileges, those things matter in how we experience the world and how we experience ourselves and each other. And so not letting those things be invisible, actually paying attention to all of those aspects, the whole person, and how those things play out in relationship, really, really matter. And they show up in all the different ways that I work.
I love how you all are helping this feel deeper, because they think people are used to hearing mind, body, soul. And now you hear it so much, you're like, oh, okay, that's holistic. But you guys are even taking it that next layer. It's the best. Jamie, what would your addition be to this topic about holistic?
Yeah, so for me, holistic and coming from my business perspective, that's why I left the old career that I was in, because I could see a specific level of healing that was occurring. However, I felt like it was very good for emotional and mental healing. But then we were also leaving out the body, the soul, the spirit, all of the other things that come along with it. And so that's why I stepped into my own business practice and got trained in different healing modalities, because, we need to pay attention to body memory, to different trapped emotions that might be happening, the entire body as a whole. So that whole spiritual being in a human existence, right? So to me, that's what I mostly think about, is how do we look at every single aspect of self and the world around us and go from there.
Yes. Oh my goodness, these ideas, these topics, they turn me on. We could be here for so long getting into the next level. I can't wait for everybody to read this book, Wealth Codes, Sacred Strategies for Abundance. Jamie, I'm going to stay with you and I'm going to ask each of you this last question today. So our listeners might be in various stages of struggle with the abundance topic, and they need an easy stepping stone to kind of slide onto this path of all these amazing things we're talking about today. How would you guide them if abundance is not coming like they'd like it to, and they need to just get started with all these things we're talking about? What would your advice be today?
Yeah, so I actually created something for that. And so if they go to the website, vesselofdivinewellness.com, I have a free gift that's 5 steps to a more authentic you. And that would be the first step that they could take. That's like a first stepping stone to
Nice.
access authentic self and abundance.
Yes,
Yeah.
nice. The authentic you. So, thank you for that gift. And everyone who's listening, I've got everybody hooked up with their websites down below. So no worries. All right. You're gonna be able to take the next step with everything today. But authentic you, that place where you are stepping into the world and showing up in full expression, the way you were born to be, unafraid of being your awesome self, right? Like, if you're not there, then the energy isn't going to be there to attract all that other juiciness that you want in your life. So there are some really awesome foundational things to think about. And Jamie just talked about one, a really important one. Eirikah, how about you?
So when I think about first steps into greater abundance, I have to think about gratitude for the things we already have.
Mm.
Remembering where abundance already shows up in our lives helps attract more and more of that and helps us be more open as receivers of the greater abundance that's headed our way.
Yes, phenomenal first step for everybody. What high vibe energy gratitude is, appreciation. Like you can feel that sort of soften your heart and open you up. And it's in the moment of shifting that energy. Gratitude is so powerful to do that. Awesome, Eirikah. Thank you. Okay, Kelly, you're going to wrap us up today. What would your advice be for this?
Oh, my favorite is gratitude, Eirikah. Thanks for saying that. I love to marinate in that gratitude because you can't be upset or fearful if you're really swimming in that gratitude. So being kind to yourself, having the gratitude, and then once you're in that state, a more joyful, introspective state where you can see things, set some intentions. What do you want? And where in your life, kind of like with Jamie, where are you out of alignment that's not going to happen? So setting the intention, making a decision, focusing on what it is that you want in all areas of your life. So, but starting with that gratitude is my favorite practice.
I love that. And we talked about it in the beginning of our interview today. You know, you may have spent a lifetime following other people's ideas about what you want and not tapping into your own heart and soul and asking yourself, really, how do I want to feel? What do I want for this life? So that is also, I believe, foundational. You ladies are amazing. Thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
All
you, Laura.
right. To all of our listeners today, remember that Wealth Codes Sacred Strategies for Abundance is coming to you soon. And we will be having a live stream book launch party on August 26th. We're in the year 2022 right now. And that'll be at 10 Eastern. I'm going to gather with all of the Wealth Codes authors, and we're going to be just having them introduce themselves to you, share their beautiful wisdom. It's going to be a fun party. If you heard something today that just gave you goosebumps or resonated or lit you up, gave you a little aha moment, come on down into the show notes. I have the websites linked up there, and each of these authors is very generously there for you to go ahead and make that next step, make that connection. They're there to support you and answer questions, and they have beautiful gifts that you can start your journey with. So please do that. Have an exploration. It could be life-changing. If you happen to be listening today and it's after that August 26th date, well, you can hop over to Amazon and pick up your copy of the book. And we can't wait to hear what you think about that. Maybe you happen to be a wellness practitioner. You're ready to share your brave words in one of our upcoming best-selling books. Let us know. Find me at bravehealer.com. And lastly, today, everybody, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Thanks, ladies.